So welcome April Freeman to the editorial board.
Thank you.
Please tell us, identify the office you seek, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll start with a question. So welcome.
I'm April Freeman, and I'm running for the people of Southwest Florida, the 19th District. And the office that I seek is the U.S. House of Representatives. I was raised in a middle-class family. I am a small business owner. My parents were union workers. I'm the wife of a union worker. I'm the mother of 2 daughters. I've been a member of the union family, or we've been a member of the union family for many years. I am a job creator since 1990, and I've been working on campaigns organizing community volunteers dating back to the Reagan administration. And I graduated from the Women's Campaign School at Yale, and I currently serve as president for Southwest Florida's National Organization for Women.
And why seek this office at this time?
It's the right thing to do.
Could you tell us a little bit more, please?
Sure, I can elaborate. I realized quite some time ago that the people of this district didn't have true representation that put their interests first, and I knew that I could be that person. I could be that voice in Washington. And after giving it a lot of thought, I decided that I was going to do this.
Can you give us a couple of examples of instances where you felt like the representation didn't put the people's interests first? I assume somebody else's interests came first.
Well, yeah, big corporations' interests have always come first, it seems like, in Congress. And then down here, we have a large population of people who are struggling, and it didn't seem like their interests were being met.
Can you think of maybe a specific vote or two in Congress that should have gone a different way?
Well, we can start with the hypocrisy of our last representative who voted to drug test food stamp recipients.
You mentioned coming into the interview that you had a document about a drug test, and since you brought up that, it might be a good time for you to say what you wanted to say.
Sure. I spoke at the Fraternal Order of Police last week, and it was suggested that the candidates submit themselves to a drug test, so I did that within 48 hours. And then I extended that challenge to Mr. Clawson. And I do have my results here, and we have the registration for both of our tests, which we paid for, I paid for, and Mr. Clawson didn't show.
I'm sorry. You had the registration for both of your tests, I mean both of your campaign aide here?
No, my test and Mr. Clawson's, because I extended the challenge to Mr. Clawson to take the same test I was taking.
Okay.
I even paid for it.
Okay.
And he did not show.
Did he know you were paying for it?
Yes.
Okay.
It was well publicized. In fact, I think your paper publicized it.
Did he not say he would take a drug test?
He said he would take a drug test, but apparently in his own time.
What kind of drugs did it test for?
Illicit drugs. You can read it. You can read the results.
Okay, well,
there.
for our readers who can't see the piece of
I'm
paper.
not interested.
Okay. Amphetamines, cocaine, heroin, opiates, PCP, benzoid, barbiturates.
Thank you.
That's a copy of the legal witness.
Oh, absolutely. That's for you.
You mentioned you run a small business. Tell us about that.
I oversee currently the production company that I own. We do television and film development and production.
In Southwest Florida.
I have 3 offices, one in Southwest Florida, one in Southeastern Michigan, and one in Los Angeles.
What's the name of it?
Spiked Heel Productions.
I'm sorry.
Spiked Heel Productions.
Spiked Heel?
It's a women's company, yes.
Los Angeles, and where else? Did you say Michigan?
Southeastern Michigan, based out of Southeastern Michigan, but we have offices.
How's the campaign going? What are people telling you when you go out on the street and you meet a stranger, you identify yourself, you say, I'm running for Congress? How's that go? What's that like?
It's great. I have a lot of support We have an overwhelming amount of support from the party, all levels of the party. It's hard work. I've noticed that the area is changing, and we're reaching out to independent voters. We're running a data-driven campaign, and we're sticking to our strategy.
What does that mean?
It means exactly what I said it means. We are reaching out to independent voters.
No, what does data-driven mean?
That means that we are researching the people that we need to be reaching out to.
Oh, so like when you knock on a door, you know that they're a super voter, or they.
Well, this is a special election. We really don't need to reach out to super voters.
Okay. I'm just not as tech savvy as you are. Just trying to
Okay.
understand what that data-driven campaigning means.
Data-driven means that we have a core group of people that we need to reach out to, and we're reaching out to them.
Back to your business briefly, how many folks do you employ? Say you're a job creator, roughly how many folks?
It depends on the project.
So
It's based on per project. Basically, a film production company, when you're producing, you hire the crew that you need, and that's how I'm a job creator.
So there's a contractors that work
Yes.
for you for the time of a given project. then-
Exactly.
then you go.
Mhm.
What are you finding when you talk to people on the street? What are their big issues, April?
The economy and jobs, our environment, our water quality, the oil drilling that's going on in Golden Gate Estates. These are what they're worried about.
How about healthcare?
Healthcare is an issue. I think that the ACA is great because people can no longer be turned down for pre-existing conditions. But I think it's important that we focus on veterans' healthcare. The VA needs help, and their system is broken.
How is the service at the Cape Coral facility?
It seems to be better than having to drive 100 miles. So people are liking that. But we can do better. We need to do better.
What specifically?
We need to provide them services when they need them. They shouldn't have to wait. They shouldn't have to drive. And there shouldn't be only 1 or 2 processing centers per state.
You mentioned you think that the ACA is great. Does it need adjustment? Does it need tweaking, refinement?
Everything needs adjustments.
Well, what would some of the adjustments you would envision or recommend?
I haven't heard any complaints. But everything is workable.
You mentioned the economy and jobs, and that's been a big theme now for many years. The question is that maybe in the past 2 years, the job market, especially locally, seems to have turned around.
It's turning, but
Okay.
not very fast.
What marketplace sectors do you think still have pockets of unemployment? Because it's my impression from looking at the monthly figures that are put out statewide and regionally that our workforce, frankly, is almost tapped out already.
Our workforce is tapped out?
That is my impression. I'd like to hear yours. You're on the street in a different
Yeah,
part
no,
of
I would have to disagree with that.
Okay.
We have people who need good paying jobs. We have working poor. We need to build our middle class. We need to fight for middle class families. And we need to bring better paying jobs to Southwest Florida. And we need to bring businesses like Curt's to Southwest Florida.
Hertz is coming to Southwest Florida. What ideas do you have to replicate that success? Or
We need to reach out to other corporations who we can bring down here. We need to let the country know that Southwest Florida is open for business and that there are benefits for bringing their businesses here.
Is that the role of a congressman?
Yeah.
Or representative congressman?
Yeah. Absolutely. That among many other things.
Tell us about that.
How would you like me to elaborate?
It sounds like you are sort of pushing the envelope on what members of Congress what their role should be.
I'm not really
I'm eager
pushing.
well,
Yeah, no, I just think that the representatives that we send to Congress should be representing the interest of the people first, and not corporate interest as far as who their biggest donors are. We need to put the people first.
But in a sense, by bringing Hertz here, we reached out to a corporation, we offered incentives to a corporation, we're looking out for the corporation.
Well,
it
we're
seems
looking
like,
out for the
and-
people by offering them jobs. Hertz can offer jobs to Southwest Florida. Companies like Hertz will bring in good paying jobs for Southwest Florida, which is going to build our economy.
But helping a corporation is sounded before like we were looking out for corporations, which was
By
bad. but now
corporate
looking out
interest,
for
no, when
corporations
I
is-
said
is
corporate
good.
interest, I mean corporate interests who are funding the campaign dollars. Those are the corporate interests that we don't need to be looking out for. We don't need to be looking out for those special interests. We need to be looking out and giving corporations like Hertz a break, because they're going to bring jobs to our economy. Our local economy is where we need to start fixing. And I think once we do that here locally, we can, spread out throughout the state, throughout the United States. There are so many untapped resources right here that we need to tap into, like solar energy. If we brought solar energy down here and we started really implementing solar energy, we would create a lot of jobs.
So, but wouldn't part of that be reaching out to solar energy companies?
Well,
and-
absolutely,
and
but only if
incentivizing
they're going to
them?
create jobs. The problem is, we have corporations who are outsourcing jobs, and they're given benefits for outsourcing jobs to foreign countries. We need to give breaks to companies who are going to stay local, stay in the country, build jobs in Southwest Florida.
how's your fundraising going, April?
Great, absolutely wonderful. I mean, I'm running against a self-funded multimillionaire, so I can't complain about where my fundraising is. I've raised more money than any other Democrat who's run here.
You mentioned also the party support, and how is that manifesting itself?
Overwhelming support. They are hosting a number of events for me.
We're talking local Lee County Democratic
Lee
Party?
Collier, State of Florida Democratic Party, and national.
Will your big push be in June?
Mm-hmm.
Or will your big push be... Okay, I am going to guess that you would run again for the November...
I'm already on the ballot for both.
Okay, then that was better than a guess. That
Okay.
was a good guess. So then, is your big push going to be for June when a lot of folks aren't here, but they can still vote absentee, or will you keep your powder dry until November?
Both. We're pushing hard in June, and we're going to push twice as hard in November. Absolutely. We are not giving up. The people of Southwest Florida deserve representation that puts their interests first, and we are fighting. We're fighting hard in June, and we're going to fight hard in November.
Will you stand a better chance in November with more Democrats on the ballot in the governor's race and momentum and excitement and attention and all that? Or it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters. I think that as long as we're getting our message out there and the voters are showing up, it's going to be equally for both.
As a member of the House of Representatives, you'd be involved in drafting and approving a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Is the federal deficit and national debt a problem?
It's going down. I know that a lot of people say that it's not, but statistics and facts show that it is going down. I will say that I will never vote to cut Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare. And I also will never vote to shut down our government, and I will always fight to protect the full faith and credit of the United States. I won't let us default, or I'll fight default on our government. We should not be defaulting on debt.
When you say it's going down,
Mm-hmm.
the debt
It is.
or the deficit?
Well, the debt is going down, and the deficit's it's shrinking.
The debt's not going down.
Well, the deficit. I meant the deficit. Yeah.
And it's going down as a percentage of. It's going down as from its high of a few years ago. Is it too high, or is it?
Well, yeah, it's high, but it is shrinking under the current administration, and we need to continue going in that direction.
And you mentioned that you wouldn't be in favor of cuts in Medicare and Social Security, Medicaid. Are there other areas that you think might be ripe for cuts?
Well, I'd have to, carefully look over anything that's coming in front of me to see if it's going to benefit the people or if it would hurt the people of the district or the country for that matter. I won't vote to cut public education. That is an absolute.
You mentioned that the deficit needs to continue to
Right,
shrink.
the deficit.
And one way to do that would be through revenue increases. Are there ideas you have in mind to increase revenue?
Well, sure. I mean, we need to close the loopholes for major corporations, for banking. We need to give incentives to companies who keep jobs in the United States. And quit giving so many cuts to the ones who are exporting our jobs.
You feel pretty strongly about expanding the ranks of women in Congress.
I do.
Why?
Well, Jeff, women are just about half of our population, and it is the House of Representatives, so we need more women in Congress to represent us.
Well, are women better intuitive problem solvers or peacemakers or?
Well, some, yeah, absolutely. We need to make sure that we're electing the right women to Congress.
Another matter that Congress is likely to have to take up in the next few years would be immigration reform. What are your thoughts on that?
We do need immigration reform. I think that we should allow the people who've obeyed the rules and paid their dues a pathway to citizenship. It helps our businesses and it helps our legal citizens. But I also think that we need to strengthen our borders.
What does that mean?
I think that means that we should tighten our borders and we could potentially bring our resources back from overseas. Bring them home, give them jobs.
I'm sorry, please bear with me. Strengthen our borders. That would mean like security guards or a wall or?
No, manpower. We have an awful lot of soldiers that are deployed that need jobs when they come home.
Okay. How about Florida, where your border is a lot of water?
Well, we could build our National Guard around here. We could probably use the National Guard base right here in Florida.
And then you were making so the jobs you were talking about were for the soldiers? Okay.
Not necessarily employed as the military, but they're out of the military, but they could get a job as a border patrol or something to that effect.
Yeah. They're qualified.
There seem to be two approaches. One, you mentioned both things, strengthen the border and dealing with the people that are already here. Do you favor doing one before the other, doing them simultaneously?
Simultaneously, yes.
How does that not then serve as if you're offering incentives to people who are here to stay, and yet the border isn't quite secured yet, how does that not serve as an incentive for more people to come here and get in on that?
Well, if we're doing it simultaneously, then hopefully we will be securing our borders at the same time. We need to, we're all immigrants here. I'm not. I'm an American Indian by descent, but we welcome, we're the melting pot. The United States is a melting pot for the entire world, so we need to provide a pathway.
But would there not be an argument to secure the border first and then do that?
There's an argument both ways.
You mentioned that the folks who obeyed the rules, we need to give them a pathway to citizenship, but didn't they violate the rules initially by coming here illegally? And should they get an advantage over somebody who really didn't violate the rules by staying in their home country and applying, waiting for paperwork, trying to get here illegally to begin with?
Well, I think that's kind of a double question, because if they obeyed the rules, they didn't get here illegally.
Well, I don't think there's any debate that folks who came here legally have a pathway. The quote pathway to citizenship that is controversial was the folks who came here illegally but are here now, staying within the law, working, whatever. Those are the folks who the controversy seems to be whether we should find a pathway to citizenship for them. Where do you stand on those folks?
We don't know the circumstances that brought them here, and we need to provide people who follow the rules a pathway.
People who didn't follow the rules.
We'll deal with them. I think we are.
So,
Yeah.
Detention centers, deportation. That's what we've been doing. Continue that for the people who aren't following the rules.
Sometimes. April, anybody who wants to find out more information about you and your candidacy, they might go to Google. It's just the way people communicate these days. And they put in your name, and the first thing that comes up is the coverage from Detroit from years ago involving the now deceased figure skater and lawsuits, and it's not an attractive story. What do those folks who go there and there's their first, and they even see your picture, what do they need to know about your side of that story?
Well, Jeff, that isn't something I can legally talk about. We have an agreement in place. There's misinformation out there. But what the people of Southwest Florida really need to understand is that when they send me to Congress, I will abide by the same agreement if I'm provided any, clearance to classified documentation. I won't talk about it, just the same as I won't talk about that. I'm not supposed to, legally bound by it, and I would obtain that same stand when I go to Congress. I can't talk about it.
How would you describe to someone who came up to you in the supermarket and said, wow, I saw that article, what's that really all about? Can you tell me what went on? Not necessarily what was in the agreement, but or are people just supposed to guess?
Well, the information's out there, but
But
like
you
I
say
said,
some of it's not accurate.
yes, well, there's a lot of inaccurate information out
Okay,
there.
but here,
And I would not be able to talk about it with somebody who walked up to me in a grocery store. I think it's more important that we talk about the issues that affect Southwest Florida.
well, some people would say, I deserve to know a little bit about the background of the folks I'm voting for, and they might like to know a little bit about your character and your makeup and your background.
All you need to know is I am a hardworking person. I am honest. I am a fighter for causes that I believe in. And that situation is one of those situations.
How about Common Core?
Common Core is an issue for Southwest Florida and for Florida itself. It's more of a state issue at this point. I know that it's making some federal headway.
Yeah.
I support Common Core, but like anything, it needs to be tweaked.
Can you tell us how, please?
It's more of a Florida issue. I do believe that there are issues with it that it can be made better. I do like the fact, I'll tell you what I like about it, is people who move around a lot, their children are held to the same standards as far as education and what their testing ability would be versus the grade levels. Everything is, I have children, or they're grown now, but when they were in school, if we moved to a different school, I would like to know that they're going to be picking up where they left off and not starting someplace else. And I think that's what's good about Common Core.
So the uniformity, if you will.
Yes.
you had mentioned earlier about your concerns about the oil exploration locally.
Not really mine, but the people's, and I don't think that we should be drilling.
In Collier County, or in Southwest Florida.
Southwest Florida.
Why not?
Including the rigs that have been in place for dozens, if not decades of years.
Well, we have new laws in place that allow them to keep secret what they're injecting into our ground, and that could affect our groundwater. And as you know, our groundwater is very precious down in Southwest Florida. We need to protect it. We need to protect our fresh water and water off the Gulf shores. Our beaches are a national treasure. We cannot risk oil drilling in Southwest Florida. And as you know, a clean and natural environment is essential to Southwest Florida's economy and quality of life, so it all goes back to our economy. We're one of the largest tourism areas in the country, and destroying our beaches would be a disaster.
So that would speak to offshore.
Offshore, yeah, and as well, if we had a spill inland, it would affect our beaches because it all goes out.
April, what should we be thinking about, both as a country and a state? What should we be thinking about in terms of the future of Cuba after Fidel Castro goes? What should we be thinking about? What should we prepare for? What should be the
Well, first of all, I
future?
think that we need to lift the embargo on Cuba, and that's really all I have to say about Cuba. It's outdated, and I think that we could benefit from tourism coming from Cuba and the products.
So it would be a sort of a unilateral lifting of the embargoes.
Do you have any ideas for if you would be elected to maybe bring the factions together in Southwest Florida? This seems to be very, 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 very partisan. That if you would be elected, how could you get everybody, if not on the same page, at least having a conversation?
Absolutely. I know that's why I'm running, is because I know that I can work across the aisle to get things done for Southwest Florida. I have a good relationship with both sides of the party down here. I know that they're supporting their candidate, my party's supporting mine. But I think that I can absolutely work to make that better.
Like town hall meetings or a
Sure.
website or...
Sure. All of the above. I think that the people of Southwest Florida need to know that I would be representing them. I would be their voice in Congress. It doesn't matter what party they're a member of. That if they needed something, I would be accessible to them.
Okay.
And I would do my best to give them a better quality of life and to look out for their interests.
We're almost out of time. Is there anything that we haven't gotten to, and that you came well prepared, so good for you?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't get a chance to cover that you would like to have the last word, so to speak?
Absolutely. I believe the number one goal of the government should be to work for the common good of the people, and that's what I plan to do. And I will protect every penny that you pay to this country. I will protect your investment in this country, and I will make sure that every penny is well spent and never wasted. I am a fiscal conservative, and I will be looking out for the people of this district. I work hard, and I won't let up until my job is done, and that's my promise to Southwest Florida.